I wanted to write a book, I wanted to do a biography. I had so many ideas on how I wanted to put this together, but I guess I'm not a very good writer. But everything that I shared just felt so freeing. And I didn't know until I got on the other side of the podcast exactly how much stuff I needed to work on.
One of the reasons why I started this podcast was simply I believe that we create community by sharing our stories.
These are the things that make or break us as children. And at 2 years old, my world had shifted completely. And although I don't remember these things happening, somatics has been showing me that we still hold these things in our body deep within. His wife was very abusive towards myself. I have two older brothers as well, and she was a very abusive parent in the home for us. I had witnessed, alcoholism happening at a young age in the home. I had seen just the disgusting behavior of adults when they're under the influence of drugs and alcohol that a child should never have to go through or never have to see. I was called a liar, and at 11 years old, small child called a liar, and I was told by my dad's wife, oh, we should go get a lie detector test. And I was raped at that time because it was a 17-year-old that was watching me while my brother and his other friend went to go and pick up drugs and alcohol. They were smoking weed and like blowing supers into my mouth so that I also would be high as well. I think as an adult, you learn that I don't believe that everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that I had to go through this so many times over and over again throughout my life. I think of how easy it would have been to be a drug addict or an alcoholic for the most of my life and do all of these things. And I don't know how I still stand on 2 feet today and breathe through the shit, like breathe through the things that really trigger me. You can't assume things about the people in your life just because they're your parents. And I look at these two broken human beings that came together in a broken relationship and had children, and then they split because of not knowing how to love and not take care of each other. And that at some point in my teenage years, I was trafficked, and I didn't know what human trafficking was until the past couple of years. So I always thought that being trafficked meant basically abducted and sold, right? Only to now realize that, I mean, you're still basically coerced into a situation that you wouldn't necessarily want to do. There was a man that tried to sell me to people that he had met on the streets because they were interested in me, and they thought, oh, she would be fun for my friend who's going through a bad breakup, and how much, and and all this stuff. I was a 16-year-old broken girl, and I had no idea what was happening. And it's just, there's so many of these things now as an adult again that I'm seeing that I had gone through without even realizing, and I'm terrified as a mother. Peace is everything nowadays, especially in the crazy world that we live in now.
In my abuse, I was a 16-year-old with a 30-something-year-old. And while I know I did everything I could to protect my relationship, as a mother now,
Mm.
there would be nothing that I wouldn't do to end that relationship. If there's no ownership, there's no basis for us to move forward. I want to be a voice against victim shaming and re-victimization because I don't think people recognize how dangerous it actually is.
Because I didn't talk about my stuff my entire life until I felt safe enough to talk about my stuff.
How the hell did you put up with that shit for so long?
I started getting irrational fears. And these irrational fears would be like every time I would close my eyes at night, my fear would be somebody's going to walk in and stare at me while I'm sleeping. Or every time I would get into the car, I would curve off into the ditch.
And that just speaks to the way that our subconscious tries to protect us.
Mm-hmm.
It does create these scenarios that kind of keep us in a box, to keep us quote unquote unsafe. And until we actually challenge those narratives, it becomes our norm.
It generally takes 90 seconds for us to process an emotion. So when something comes up for us, say you're watching a movie and you're like getting emotional, it's so easy to be like, oh, don't cry. My key takeaway would definitely be just listen to your body. And, even if you don't have a safe person to have that conversation with, to talk about the things that you're dealing with, I think it's important to seek professional help or come and talk to me because I love you all and I want to help everybody heal their own stuff.